Table salt is a dangerous salt because we now have two very harsh minerals that if you were to inject both of those into the blood, you would die. Something as simple as the salt you put on your food could be slowly harming your health. Intrigued? You should be. In nature, we find the highest amount of sodium in seawater, and seawater contains 92 minerals. Of those 92 minerals, approximately 30% is sodium, and of those 92 minerals, approximately 50% is chloride. Now, because sodium chloride take up the most amount, they're the first crystals formed when the water is evaporated. So what man does is he scoops up the first crystals formed, he bleaches them white, puts aluminium with it so that it runs freely, and there's your table salt. Table salt is a dangerous salt. In this video, we'll explore the hidden dangers of everyday table salt and how it impacts your well-being. That might make you think twice about using that salt shaker. Let's dive in. So the number one vital element needed for life is oxygen. The second most vital element needed for life is water. You can go 3 minutes without oxygen. You can go a couple of weeks without water. I always thought it was 3 days without water until I read a book called The Long Walk about some people who were escaping the Siberian work camp, and they were in the desert and they went nearly 2 weeks without water. Water is necessary for our bodies to function properly. Every part of our body demands water. I always say to people, how much water do you drink? And these are some of the answers. I don't like water. If I drink water, my feet swell. If I drink water, I'm going to the bathroom all day. Those last two answers tell me that the water's not getting inside the cell. But have you ever wondered how water enters the cells? To get water into the cells, we require sodium, the third most important ingredient for survival. Now here's where things get interesting. This natural salt undergoes a bit of a transformation before it ends up on your dining table. The crystals are gathered and then go through a bleaching process. But it doesn't end there. They also add some aluminium compounds to make what we know as table salt. This isn't just ordinary salt, it's a highly processed product that differs significantly from its natural form. There's two harsh minerals and they need all the other 90 to soften them and balance them. When you strip that away, you're left with a product that's not just unhealthy, but potentially harmful. Our bodies need this balance to function properly, and table salt just doesn't provide that. Moving on to what happens inside our bodies. The highest concentration of mineral inside the cell is potassium. The highest concentration outside the cell is sodium. And in this bilayered membrane that is around every cell, there are sodium-potassium pumps, and these sodium-potassium pumps are ever going like this, maintaining the balance between potassium and sodium. The most important aspect is that the biggest concentration of minerals inside our cells is potassium, whereas sodium is found outside. This equilibrium is necessary for everything from nerve function to muscle contraction. But here's the problem. Many of us aren't eating enough fruits and vegetables, which are the primary sources of potassium. Instead, we're consuming way too much table salt. This leads to an imbalance. Sodium levels go up and potassium levels drop. There is a small amount of sodium in the cell, but when this happens, you see osmosis and diffusion happens when the highest concentration merges into the lowest. So now sodium levels inside the cell are rising, which they should not, and the cell swells. What's that called? High blood pressure. So why does this happen? Well, sodium attracts water. When there's excess sodium in the bloodstream, it causes water to move into the blood vessels, increasing the overall volume of blood. Increased blood volume causes increased pressure on the vessel walls,
resulting in elevated blood pressure. It's similar to overinflating a balloon. It just cannot withstand the pressure. In contrast, potassium relaxes blood vessels and excretes salt, keeping everything under control.
The doctor is right. Table salt will contribute to high blood pressure.
This is why a fruit and vegetable-rich diet is so vital. They not only offer the potassium your body needs, but they also assist to keep your salt levels under control, preventing the harmful buildup that causes high blood pressure and other cardiovascular problems.
There's a French doctor named Dr. Lelangre, and he's written a whole book on salt. He said, when people come to me with high blood pressure, I put them on Celtic salt.
He suggests Celtic salt to those with high blood pressure, since it includes 82 minerals and is harvested by hand. Celtic salt contains 3 forms of magnesium: magnesium chloride, magnesium bromide, and magnesium sulfate, making it a moist salt.
And because magnesium is a water-hungry molecule, it can be used to help the water get into the cell. So when you take a crystal of Celtic salt, put it on your tongue, and some say, how big's a crystal? Well, if you've got high blood pressure, start small, about the size of a sesame seed. I don't have high blood pressure, so I might have about 3 times little sesame seeds. Put it on your tongue, your mucous membranes start absorbing the minerals, the magnesium is taken to the cell membrane, and you drink your water, and that magnesium pulls that water inside the cell. It's the quickest way to hydrate a body. The only time excess water drinking can be dangerous is if people drink too much at once and don't have the minerals that are in the Celtic salt to pull that water inside the cell.
It's better to drink water throughout the day, accompanied by a bit of Celtic salt. For example, drink half a glass of water when you wake up, another half after going to the bathroom, and so on. This routine helps maintain hydration without overloading your body. Many have found this approach beneficial, spreading their water intake and using Celtic salt for better hydration. It's like watering a plant. See how God sends the rain little by little, bit by bit? When there's a tornado or a torrential downpour, the soil gets washed away and flooding can happen. Remember that with your body. Take things little by little. It's the best way.
And did you know that sodium chloride is so strong it can kill the taste buds? Have you seen people that eat table salt? They put it on everything, and they put it on before they've even tasted it. Well, no wonder, their taste buds are dying. Whereas Celtic salt, with all of its minerals, it enhances the flavour of the food. So sodium not only is required to get the glucose into the blood, it's also required to get the water into the cell. So it's sodium. It's the 3rd most vital element needed for life. And you can get that information on the 4 vitals in any anatomy and physiology book, chemistry book, biology book. I'm just giving you the facts here.
So, water is important, but so is salt. And potassium is abundant in all fresh fruits and vegetables. You know, calcium cannot enter cells on its own. It needs vitamin D to do so. When vitamin D is present, calcium is drawn within. Think about what is going on in America right now. Many people don't drink enough water, avoid whole salt, and don't consume enough vegetables which contain magnesium. As a result, the little water they do drink is not absorbed by their cells. Furthermore, many people avoid the sun out of fear of developing skin cancer. Therefore, they are deficient in vitamin D. This implies calcium and other minerals cannot enter the cells. On top of that, those attempting to reduce weight are giving in to the myth that fat causes fat. So they're on high-carb diets, thinking that lowering fat will help them lose weight.
And they're trying to lose weight, so they've listened to a lot of the media hype that you've got to stop the fat because fat will make you fat. So they're on a high carbohydrate diet. Remember what fat will do? It'll give you satisfaction or a satiation, a full feeling. But if you're not having any fat, you just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. The whole packet of cookies goes, the whole chips go, there's not a sign in your body that says enough. It's the fibre, protein and the good fats that will give you that sign.
So with this high-carb diet, little vitamin D and insufficient water and minerals entering the cells, the body begins to panic. Your body's core business district appears to be in crisis mode. Eventually, the body's solution is to force everything into the cells, which leads to high blood pressure. High blood pressure can stem from dehydration, a lack of minerals and magnesium, vitamin D deficiency, too much sugar and carbs, and even inactivity. It's like a perfect storm of factors coming together to create a big health issue. Let's dive into how dehydration affects our body, starting with the mouth.
So let's begin at the mouth. Did you know that in a state of chronic dehydration, too much saliva is produced? Some people think a dry mouth is a sign of dehydration. It is, and too much saliva can be a sign of dehydration. You see, when not enough water is going into the body, and how much water should go in? Let's do an assessment of that. So our kidneys, to know how much water should go in, we need to look at how much is coming out. So in our kidneys, we urinate out 1.5 litre loss. Now, a litre is the same as a quart. Out of the skin, it can be 0.5 of a quart loss. Out of the colon, 0.3 of a quart loss. And out of the lungs, it's about a 0.2 of a quart loss. So that equals 2.5 quart loss every day.
And unlike a car, our bodies have no reserve tank. We just have the water we use. So ideally, we should be drinking at least 2 quarts of water a day, and more if possible. If you're doing activities like a daily steam sauna, you might be losing even more water through sweat. Fruits, vegetables, herbal teas, and vegetable juices can also contribute to your water intake. Dr. Batman Gelage said that when we do not replace the water we lose, our bodies go into drought mode and release a hormone called histamine. This is the same substance that causes allergic reactions, and individuals often take antihistamines to treat it.
Antihistamines, you know the best antihistamine is just water. So the first place that water is taken from to try and maintain full blood volume in the veins and arteries is the lining of the stomach. We have a thick mucosal wall lining the stomach, and so now we've got a very thin mucosal wall. Now in that mucosal wall there's sodium bicarbonate, and the sodium bicarbonate is in the mucosal wall to neutralize any stomach acid that might try and get through, and basically protect against stomach ulcers.
When we smell and start chewing food, our stomach releases hydrochloric acid. This acid combines with pepsinogen to form pepsin, which breaks down protein. But hydrochloric acid also plays other roles. It's antifungal and antibacterial, helping to kill off harmful bacteria. However, drinking enough water dilutes the hydrochloric acid. This can allow hazardous bacteria, such as Helicobacter pylori, to survive and damage the stomach lining, resulting to ulcers. One of the first things Helicobacter pylori patients should do is increase their hydrochloric acid. This increases its antibacterial, anti-yeast, and antifungal activities. Dr. Batman Gelage observed that the first area we lose water is the lining of our gastrointestinal tract. If you continue down this tract, you will reach the pancreas, which secretes hormones such as insulin and glucagon to control blood sugar levels. Dehydration can reduce the production of these hormones, which contributes to diabetes. He also found that the pancreas releases enzymes for digestion, lipase for fats, amylase for starches, and others for proteins. These enzymes need water to be produced. Without enough water, your digestion will be compromised at every stage. Water is required for every function in our bodies. Dr. Batman Gelage feels that many disease symptoms are caused by dehydration. For example, without enough water, our brain cells shrink, resulting in headaches and unfavorable thought patterns.
Headaches are common when we don't have enough water. Negative thought patterns can develop when our brain cells don't have enough water.
Every joint contains synovial fluid, which is 99% water. If we are dehydrated, our bodies can draw water from this fluid to maintain blood volume in the major arteries and veins. So, joint discomfort, which is frequently misdiagnosed as arthritis, could simply be a result of dehydration. Our eyeballs move in water, and every aspect of their function depends on it. The same applies to our lungs. At the end of each bronchial tube in the lungs are tiny sacs called alveoli, which appear like little bunches of grapes. These are where gas exchange happens. Each alveolus is surrounded by a network of blood capillaries, where oxygen is picked up and carbon dioxide is dropped off to be exhaled. A minuscule droplet of water in each alveolus helps them collapse when we exhale, allowing for efficient carbon dioxide release and oxygen intake. And there you have it. When we're dehydrated, the small droplets in our lungs don't work as well, causing our alveoli to collapse improperly and lowering our oxygen intake. To avoid losing water, our bodies may tighten the bronchial tubes, making it difficult to breathe. Furthermore, dehydrated blood thickens, making it more difficult for the heart to pump and the kidneys to filter. In short, water is essential for every single body function. If you found this information helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future health tips and insights. Stay hydrated, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.